All right, Rabbi a piskatava, a good kvittel, a good maid, a yashikoach. By the way, I think this was we had two beautiful simultaneous minyanim. So yashikoach to all of our bali tefillah, to Maishi for the Orus minyan, to Rachmiel and Ari Lichtman for the regular minyan. Incredible zuchos to Baruch Hashem. Have all of these beautiful minyanim occurring at different times. I thank you to our sponsors. To thank the Levitans for dedicating the shir all of Sukkot and the schus that Hashem should accept the tefillos of all of Klal Yisrael and bring the Mashiach and rebuild the Beis Hamikdash in our time. Shkoyach. Jose, also a thank you to Morty Spiro, who dedicated the shir. I forgot to announce this. Le'ilui Nishmas, his cousin Shalom Elazar ben Elimelech ben Sion. We hope that in the merit of our Talmud Torah, the Neshama will have an aliyah and the family a nechama. And also to thank our Talmud Torah sponsors for the month of Tishrei, Jacob and Julie Blumenfeld, who dedicated all the shir and drashos of this month in the aliyahs nishmas, their grandmothers. We hope that the Neshamos will have an aliyah and the family a nechama. Is Saeed here? Saeed's not here. Is there a sponsor for the breakfast? Oh, and a shkach ultimately to the Abramsons for dedicating and sponsoring the breakfast this morning. Forget about sheer sponsorships, right? Come on, right? So thank you to Abramsons for dedicating the breakfast. From the schus of Emir Hashem, a good kvittel and a piska tava for their mishpacha and for all of Klal Yisrael. It's also a good opportunity to give a special yashikach and thank you to Maishi for all of his orders he gives our kehila. Every Yom Tov, every Shabbos, Emir Hashem, tefillah should be niskabel. Halavai should be a schus for you and your mishpacha. And both say with that, let's begin. I have to just, when somebody sees Saeed come in, just tell me, because I want to give him a special yashikoach. And also you could tell him if we're running low on anything. Please let him know. It's important for him to get the feedback. All right, Tivose, with that, let us begin. We are finishing Emir Hashem Meseches Tamid today. So we are picking up on the last parak of Meseches Tamid. We're starting actually at, today's daf is Lamed Gimel. We are starting on Lamed Beis, Amud Beis, a lot to do today. So it says the Mishnah as follows. Amar Lamamuna. So Tivose, remember again, we began this yesterday, a little bit, but then we kind of had to stop. So remember, this Mishnah is picking up over here where the Kohanim have reassembled in the Lishkas Hagozis. They have reassembled in the chamber of hewn stone in order to go ahead and finish up the rest of the drawing of the lots. Also in order to recite Kriyas Shema. So the Mamuna, the Kohen in charge of them said, Baruch Hu bracha achos, make a bracha. So what bracha did they make? Vehem berchu. Ultimately gave me a bracha. And I will say, really what this is referring to, Saeed, an incredible yashikoach. Thank you to everything. Also, if you really appreciate Saeed, the jacket that he's wearing, you'll notice, is actually on sale in the shul gift shop. You could buy one with the shul, and we should start a gift shop. No? Well, we don't know. What happened to gift shops? Right? Good. The sister will be selling it in a gift shop. Emir Hashem. I'd both say, let's begin. So the Muna said, Baruch bracha achos, make a bracha. Now both say the bracha that it's referring to over here is one of the birchos Kriyas Shema. The Rosh points out that there's a machlokes. Here's what we know. We know that they said one of the brachos of Kriyas Shema, one of the brachos of Shema, but it's a machlokes ultimately again which bracha they recited. Vehem baruchu, so they made a bracha. So machlokes Rosh Rabbeinu Gershom the Mefaresh. Is it the bracha of Yotzar Ma'oros? Is it the bracha of Ava Rabbah? But ultimately again, Lamed Beis, Amud Beis, the Mishnah, the new parak. Avram, take breakfast. So the Gemara says, "Ve'im baruch bracha achas karu aseres hadibros." So they recited aseres hadibros. Now, both say this, of course, is unique. We saw this already a little bit in the Gemara Meseches Brachas, where the Gemara discusses that they used to say aseres hadibros. They used to be part of davening. That stopped ultimately again when the Apikarsim came along and said that the aseres hadibros are the most important things. So kara aseres hadibros, shma v'haya'im shamawa. Vayomer. So we'll say this is what they said. I will say, just to understand, they recited truncated tefillas. Right? Why did they recite truncated tefillas? So, because they're working. Remember again, this goes back to the sugya that we saw beforehand, that when you're on the clock, ultimately, again, you have to be careful with how much time you take for your individual spiritual service. The novelty here is apparently this is true even if what? Even if what? Even if you're on the Ribbon Shalom's clock, right? If there's work to be done, then at the end of the day, you have to do it. So what happens? So we'll say ultimately, again, everything okay over there? We're good? The two of you work this out? Okay, good. So Baruch Hu Esa'am. So we'll say they bless the people. Now in this context, by the way, Baruch Hu Esa'am does not mean Birchas Kohanim. Birchas Kohanim is going to come later on. Rather, Birchas Kohanim will say actually means they said, like we say Birchas Kohanim in Chazaras Hashatz. Elokeinu ve'elokei avosinu barchinu ba'bracham shuleshes b'torah ksir demoshes. Good. So the Gemara says Baruch Hu, right? Baruch Hu Esa'am. Shalosh brachos. They said 3 brachos. Which brachos? Emes v'yotziv, Avoda, or Birkas Kohanim. So we'll say, again, remember, Birkas Kohanim in this context does not mean Birkas Kohanim where the Kohanim bless the people. That's going to come later on. Birkas Kohanim means they said Birkas Kohanim like we say in Chazaras Hashatz. Ub'Shabbos Mosifin Bracha Achos. Shabbos they would add on one more bracha, LeMishmar Hayotzi. We'll say, so for Shabbos, remember again, Shabbos is when the Mishmoros. Shabbos is when the Kohanic shifts would turn over, so the incoming shift would go ahead and give a bracha to the outgoing shift. Actually, if you take a look at the Rosh, this is actually quite beautiful. The Rosh says, Mosifim bracha achas leMishmar hayotzi, Mishmar hayotzi mosif osa bracha. I'm sorry, it's the outgoing shift who would recite an additional bracha. What was the bracha they said? This is quite beautiful. V'alav muteles v'mishmar she'avad b'shavua she'avra v'im osin avodas haboker v'achar kach ovdin mishmar nichnas v'nishmar mevarchen osa v'omrim mi sheshachan es shemo b'bayis zeh hu yashkin beinechem ava v'achva v'shalom v'reyes. So we'll say this is so beautiful. The outgoing shift would give a bracha ultimately again to the incoming shift. And they would say to the incoming shift, he who rests his name on this home should rest his name between you and should endow you with ava, with love, with achva, brotherhood, shalom, peace, and reyos, camaraderie. It was like really exceptionally beautiful. So this was the bracha that the Mishmar Hayotze would give to the Mishmar Hanichnas. I both say it's always struck me. Why is Gemara Maseches Brachos discusses this as well? Why would they have to give this bracha that there should be achdus? And I will say, I'm sorry. Let's remember, whenever you work closely with a group of people for a prolonged period of time, I'll give you a simple mashal. Yom Tiv. Yom Tiv is a lot of family time, right? If somebody were to tell you, what bracha can I give you for Yom Tiv, right? What's the bracha every single family wants to Yom Tiv? Shalom bayis, right? Good. Kavi, that was fast. That was very fast, right? We could talk after the shir a little bit, right? So ultimately, again, remember, any time that you're spending a lot of time, even with people who you love, and people who you're very close to, but it's a prolonged period of closeness, you need HaKadosh Baruch Hu siyata d'shmaya, right? Ultimately, again, you need ava, you need achva, you need reyos. Beautiful. Mishnah Beis. Amalahem. So we'll say the Mamuna would then call out, Chadoshim Liktoras. So we'll say this is incredible. Chadoshim Liktoras. So we'll say the halacha was, they wanted to give every Kohen an opportunity to do the Ketoras. So therefore, again, if you had already offered up the Ketoras, you were ineligible for that lottery, right? So these are Chadoshim Liktoras. So why is that, by the way? So the Gemara Maseches Yoma actually discusses this, that Ketoras was an incredible skula for ashirus, for wealth. So they wanted every Kohen to be able to get this particular skula. So therefore, again, people who already did the Ketoras were disqualified from the lottery. So Chadoshim Liktoras, Bo ve'efisu, Zacha misha zach, everyone lottery won lottery. Amlem Chadoshim im yishanim Bo ve'efisu, mi ma'ala ivarim min hakevesh lemizbeach. Next lottery that was drawn after that, remember again, where are all the sacrificial parts right now? Where are they now? They're on the ramp. Right, they're on the left side of the ramp, ultimately, again, from the midpoint of the ramp downward. So they are sitting there. So the next lot that was drawn, ultimately, again, who is going to come and move the limbs from the middle of the ramp to the Mizbeach? Rabbi Elazar ben Yaakov Omer, Hama lo yivarim lekevesh, hu ma lo osan al gabe Mizbeach. Rabbi Elazar said, it's not true, there wasn't another lottery. But in fact, what happened? The Kohanim who put the sacrificial parts on the ramp to begin with, ultimately, again, those are the same Kohanim who came back and moved it to the top of the Mizbeach. Good. Mishnah Gimel. Masum lechazanim. So we'll say any kohanim who were not chosen for the lotteries. So remember again, at this point in time, all the kohanim are wearing big day kahuna. You only wear big day kahuna if you're doing avoda. If you're not going to do avoda, they took off your big day kahuna. So the problem is, what did you do with the kohanim who were dressed to do avoda but weren't chosen? So masum lechazanim. They were given over to attendants. They were like clothing attendants in the Beis HaMikdash. So the Kohanim who were not chosen were given over to the attendants. Hayu mafshitin osam es bigdeihem. V'lo hayu manich maleim ela michnasayim bilvad. So they were, what's the word? Declothed. I guess it's very stripped down from the car. But again, Rabbi say, remember, I'm sorry? Disrobed. Disrobed. Good. So they were disrobed. Derobed? Okay, good. Undressed. Good. Okay, fine. Thank you. Thank you. You don't have to be so condescending like that. It's not. It's so good. They were undressed, disrobed. So we'll say, so the idea over here is why? Because remember, if you were not doing the avoda, you could no longer wear the big day kahuna. The chalonos hayusham, we'll say, this is incredible. They had cubbies for each type of clothing. The kasev aleim tash mishakelim. So the kohanim who weren't chosen were undressed, and ultimately, again, there was different cubbies for each different type of article of kohanic clothing. The articles that were not used, ultimately, again, were put back. Dalid, misha zacha b'ktoras. I will say, whichever kohen was chosen to be able to do the avodah of the ktoras, hayanotel asakaf. He would take ultimately again the kaf. Now, we'll say kaf literally means the spoon, but we're going to see that kaf domel letarkov gadol shazav machzekes shlosha kabin. But I will say really what it was like a small pot, like a small pot that was able to hold 3 kabin. V'habazach haya besocho. There was a bazach. I will say so inside the kaf. There was even like a smaller utensil, which really translates better as like a small utensil, inside of the kaf, hayi b'socho, top of lam and gimel, mole v'gadish ketoras. Ultimately, again, and it was filled with ketoras. V'kisui hayalo, kimin v'kisui hayalo, and I will say the bazach had a lid attached to it, ukamin mituteles haya alav milamalan. And ultimately, again, it had, I will say, like a small covering on top of it. I don't know if anyone has it here. The Safa Berura Gemaras. Gil, I think, has that one. Right? You have a picture in there? I saw it yesterday in that Kli. That's very helpful. Thank you. Yes, excellent. Good. Okay, now that everybody saw that, that was perfect. Good. So you can look at Gil's Gemara afterwards. Again, it's the picture of the larger utensil with the smaller utensil. Inside of it, the smaller utensil has a covering. Mishneh, Misha Zacha b'machta. I will say whoever ultimately again won the lottery for the machta, Natal machtas hakesef. He would take literally a silver shovel. Va'ala l'rosh hamizbeach. So also remember again, this avodah of the machta is the person who's going to take the shovel, go to the top of the mizbeach, take the outer mizbeach hachitzon, take the coals from the outer mizbeach and do what with them? What does he have to do? Take them inside. Because remember again, Abba say you need coals for the inner mizbeach, the mizbeach hapanimi for the ketoras, but we don't create coals inside of the Beis HaMikdash. Instead, the coals are created on the Mizbeach HaChitzon. So what would happen? He would take the silver shovel, va'al l'rosh HaMizbeach, he'd go up to the top of the Mizbeach, upanas hagichalim, heilach, v'chata min ha'ma'ocholos ha'pnimiyos. So we'll say, what would he do? What he would do is he would go up to the top of the Mizbeach, and he would move some coals to this side, move some coals to that side. He wanted to take coals from the middle of the pile. Those, I guess, are the most intensely burning coals. Yarad v'iron l'sochan shalzas. We'll say he would take them down. Now remember, he was carrying them in a silver shovel. He would then transfer the coals from the silver shovel into a gold shovel. Now, both as we're going to see, the gold shovel was smaller than the silver shovel. The reason for that is the halacha by Ketoras is that the Kohen has to enter into the Beis HaMikdash with a heaping pile of coal. So how do you make sure that you have a heaping pile of coal? Transfer from a large utensil to a smaller utensil. So I will say inevitably, because the silver shovel was smaller than because the gold shovel was smaller than the silver shovel, what ended up happening? You had coal spillage, right? You had coal that spilled on the ground. So what would they do? So So we'll say, so during the week, what they would just do is they would sweep the coals. There was a channel of water that went through the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash. So they would just shovel the coals into the water. Ub'Shabbos, but on Shabbos you can't shovel coals. Why not? Ultimately, again, because it's aser. So hayakofe ala pasachter. So they would place a pot. Pasachter means a pot over the coals. They would invert the pot over the coals. Now, why would they do? So we'll say, why do they have to? Why don't they just leave it alone? Because remember, again, the Kohanim are walking barefoot. Therefore, again, chas v'shalom, somebody could really hurt themselves if they step on a coal. So you had to cover the coal. Upasachter haisekli gadol machzekes lesech. So we'll say the pasachter was a large utensil that held a lesech. Lesech is an amount. Ushtei sharsharos hayuba. The pasachter, we'll say, was a pot, and it had chains on either side of it. Chains on either side of it. Acha shu moshech ba v'yoreit. So we'll say the pasachter, by the way, was also used when they had to clear out the ash. When there was too much ash accumulation on top of the mizbeach, they used to pile the ash into the pasachter. So the pasachter had chains on either side. It was a circular pot, had chains on either side of the pot. Why? Because when the Kohanim were transferring the ash off the mizbeach, there was a concern. If the coin was only dragging the pot through one chain because it's circular, what could happen? It could more easily tip. Therefore, what they would do is when transferring the ash down from the mizbeach, one coin would pull down the pot from the front, the other coin would hold it back from the back. So it was, what's the word? Suspended, right? So it was suspended. And even if they dragged it, oh, excellent. Ari Lichtman. So even, actually, we should tilt the camera, and so let's say, so ultimately, in order to ensure that the pot would not tip over, so therefore they had chains on either side. So the Gemara says, "B'shoshel disgalgal u'shlosha dvarim ha'isa mishameshes." So we'll say the pasachter pot really served three purposes. Number one, kofen osal gabi gechalim. Number one, as we just said, that Allah Chalamayse, if any of the coals spilled, they would invert the pasachter in order to cover the coals on Shabbos. Number two, ala sheretz. I will say, interestingly enough, if there was a dead sheretz found in the Azara, which could happen, they put the pasachter over it. Ala sheretz b'Shabbos. So we'll say, so remember again, if it was during the weekend you found the sheretz, you just got rid of it. If halacha l'maisa, again, it's Shabbos, so it's muktzah. We'll say, I just want to point out, not a topic, but remember again, you'll say to yourself, Ein shavus b'mikdash. 1 second, Dinei d'Rabbanan do not apply in the Beis HaMikdash. That's true for matters of avoda. So whenever something is necessary for avoda, we'll say obviously isurim daraisa. You could shecht on Shabbos in the mikdash, right? Shechita is one of the lamites malachas. Yet you could do it in the mikdash on Shabbos. So we'll say, and certainly the rabbanans don't apply. That's when they're necessary for the avoda. But something like a dead rodent, where I don't have to carry it away, I could just as easily overturn the pasachter and leave it on top of that. That's what we would do. And ultimately, and also whenever the ash pile accumulated too much, they would remove the ash with the pasachter. Vav. So we'll say ultimately again, as the Kohen is getting, right, so he's taking, so they've just transferred ultimately again the coals from the silver shovel into the golden shovel. They get in the area between the ulam and the mizbeach, natal echad samagreifa v'zarka bein ha'ulam. What's happening? So what would they do with the silver shovel? This is fascinating. With the silver shovel, they would throw it down. They would throw it down in the area between the ulam. Ulam is the antechamber, and the mizbeach. Now listen to this. They dafka threw it down because it generated an incredibly loud noise. Ein adam shamea kol chaveira b'Yerushalayim mikol ha'magreifa. So we'll say this might be another hyperbolic statement. The shovel, right? The throwing of the shovel, the hitting of the shovel against the ground was so loud. What are you showing me, Ira? Temple Institute has a shovel. Excellent. Good. Ira will pass it around. Or you can send. You choose to send out. You send out. Beautiful. Yeah, good. I'll throw Ira's phone down. We'll see. Good. So it says the Gemara. Ultimately, that's a great point. Temple Institute has replicas of a lot of these kelim. That's true. Shabbos says, it says the Gemara as follows: that when they would throw down the shovel, it made such a loud noise that you couldn't hear what your friend was saying. In Yerushalayim. So the Gemara says, so we'll say the sound generated by the throwing down of the shovel had served three purposes. Number one, Kohen sheshomeas kol hayodeh she'achav hakam nichnasim l'shtachvos. Both as we're going to see, with the offering of the ketores, also began the process of the Kohanim entering into the Heichal to prostrate themselves. So if you were a Kohen outside of the Mikdash compound and you heard the sound of the clanking of the shovel, so what would happen? You would know what? You better get inside because the Kohanim are about to begin their prostrations. V'hu ratzuba. Uben Levi shu shomeas kol hayodeh she'achav halavim nichnasim l'daber b'shir. V'hu ratzuba. And if you were a Levi, this is also the sign that what? Shira was about to begin. So you better get yourself into the Beis HaMikdash. The Rosh HaMaimod haya ma'amid es hatameim b'shar mizrach. And also, interestingly enough, this is also when the Rosh HaMaimod. There's a machlokes as to what Rosh HaMaimod means over here. Does it refer? Both say they were ma'amados. Just like there were shifts of Kohanim and Leviim, there are also shifts of Yisraelim who congregated by the Beis HaMikdash to represent the Am, to be present for the Karban Tamid. So Rosh HaMaimod could ultimately mean a Yisrael, or Rosh HaMaimod could also mean what? Could also mean whoever was the ranking Kohen at this time. Now I was saying, this is very interesting, they would line up the Kohanim Timeim, the impure Kohanim, by the Sha'ar Mizrach, by the eastern gate. Why would they line up the Kohanim where Timeim? So we'll say, if you look at the Rush for just a moment, the Rush says over here, he says over here, Mamid es hatmeim b'shar mizrach, kol hatmeim sheba oso beis av, she'ovid hayom, hayu tzrichin lavo, v'rosh beis av ma'amidim b'shar mizrach, shachom nechas v'yotzim derech shalom perak yitzolin, farish taima, chadar mnei chashad, shal yomru ose kone beis av, ploni l'ratzu libatam v'lachtam v'lavo, shars chadamar k'dei levaisham. So listen to this. Why would they line them up? So two possibilities. Possibility one was because if you were obviously Tameh, you were not showing up for work in the Beis HaMikdash, so that no one should think that you were skipping out on work, right, and doing something else. They lined up the Kohanim Tmeim, ultimately again, so that people should see they're present, but they just can't do the avoda. Second possibility was that this was to shame them, that how could it be you serve in the Beis HaMikdash 1 week out of the year, and you can't keep it together for 1 week out of the year? You can't be nizar and tumah for 1 week out of the year. So it was like a little bit of like a public shaming, not a little bit, because a big public shaming. That the Kohanim Tamid were lined up, that these are the people obviously that who were not organized enough in life to be able to keep it together for their 1 week of avoda. Good. So I'll say, so therefore the clanking of the shovel ultimately served almost like as an awakening, an alarm clock for Kohanim, for Leviim, and ultimately again for the head of the Ma'amados. Hadron Allah, Aram La'amora. Good. We'll say Mazdal Vaiter. Hechalu. All the Mamalos. So we'll say they continued to walk up the steps of the Ulam. And remember again, they're entering in to what we call the Mikdash proper. Hechalu Olim B'Ma'alos Ha'ulam. Misha zacho b'dishon mizbeach hapanimi v'hamenora hayu makdil fnei. So it's to the Kohanim who won the lots, ultimately again of cleaning out the inner mizbeach and the menorah. They ultimately again would go ahead and come in first, right? They would go in and come in before the other Kohanim. Misha zacha b'dishon mizbeach hapanimi nichnas v'natal asateni v'ishtachav aviyat. So remember again, the Kohen who had won the lottery to clear out the menorah. So remember again, on both sides, the menorah effectively was already mostly cleared out. Remember, they had left the basket, the tenna, by the second step leading up to the menorah. He finishes up the job, removes the tenna, prostrates himself, and he leaves. Misha zacha b'dishna menorah, nichnas u'matza shtei neros ma'arviyim. So we'll say, he who went ahead. I'm sorry, that was Dishon Mizbeach. So the one who won the lottery, ultimately again to clean out the menorah, he came in, and what did he find? Remember, there were 2 Neros Ma'aravim Dolkim. So 2 candles still remain lit. Medashen es HaMizrachi, he goes in and cleans out the Ner Mizrachi. Umaniach es HaMa'aravi Dolek, and he leaves the Ner Ma'aravi kindled. Shemimenu hayu malikin es hanor shal bein arbaim, because it was from that Ner Ma'aravi that they would rekindle the menorah that afternoon. Masa shekavo, if it turned out that candle had extinguished, then what? Midashno, he cleans it out. Umadliko mimizbach ha'olah, he rekindles it ultimately again from the mizbach ha'olah. Notal as hakuz mima lashnia. Suppose I remember again, he had already begun the avod of cleaning out the menorah and had left the kuz, the jug with the ashes, on the second step of the Mizbeach. He prostrated himself. So we'll say, brother, you see another paradigm over here, which is that as soon as a particular coin finishes his avoda, what does he do? Prostrates and then leaves. Mishnah Beis. Misha Zacha b'machta. So the coin who won the lottery to go ahead and bring in the shovel with the coals for the ketoras. Tzabaras hagecholam agabi hamizbeach. Ultimately, again, he brings. So remember, he's bringing the shovel, the golden shovel filled with coals, into the Beis Hamikdash proper. He comes to the inner altar, Mizbeach Hazav, the incense altar. He pours the coals onto the incense altar. Tzabaras hagecholam agabi hamizbeach uredadan b'shuli hamachta. He pats down the pile, evens out the pile, ultimately again with his shovel. What does he do? Vishtachave, he prostrates himself. This is the end of the avoda, v'yatza, and he leaves the Beis Hamikdash. Mishnah Gimel, Mishazacha B'ktoras. So we'll say to the Kohen who won the lottery for the Ketores. So he won the lottery for the Ketores. So we'll say, remember again, what would he do? He would take the spoon, remember, so you have a spoon filled with actual ketoras. He would take out the spoon that was brought in with the shovel, v'nasno li ohavo o likrovo, and he would go and he would give it to one of his friends. And we'll say, so the idea of giving it to one of his friends ultimately in this context means that this was not an avoda for which a lottery was drawn. Nispazer mimenu l'socho. So we'll say he would go ahead and he would pour. So remember, essentially what he would do is they would bring in the ketoris in one kli, and they would transfer it into a different kli inside of the Beis Hamikdash. So nispazer mimenu l'socho, nos nalo b'chafnav. So ultimately, we'll say, so if any of the ketoris ends up spilling, so they accumulate it with their hands and put it back into the kli. Umalamdin also. And I will say there was a strategy for how you did ketores, right? So they told the Kohen who was doing the ketores, here's how you have to do it. Have a zoyer shemataskel mipanecha shelo. I will say, so remember again, you have to imagine the scene. The Kohen is standing in Kohanim Mamish. This could be you. The Kohen is standing in front of the Mizbeach. So remember again, there is a large surface area of, not large, but there's a surface area of coals. The ketores was scattered over the coals. So what would be the rookie Kohanic mistake? Begin pouring the ketoris in front of you and work your way forward. What's the problem if you do that? You'll get burned, essentially, because what's going to happen? The smoke will hit you in the face, right? So they tell the Kohen, don't begin pouring the ketoris in front of you. Rather what? Don't pour the ketoris in front of you and then work your way forward because you'll get burned. Rather, so we'll say ultimately again what he would do is, he would start essentially from the furthest point from him and work his way towards him. So he take the spoon with the ketores, extend his arm, work his way back towards him. Maktir, Achshemona Omerlo, Hector. I will say, so the Mamona would follow the Kohen who was doing the ketores in, and the Kohen who was doing the ketores would not begin the avoda until the Mamona told him to do so. So he wouldn't begin, so until the Mamona told him, Hakter. He had to get the instructions, then he would burn the Ketores. So Haya Kohen Gadol Hamamuna. So I'm sorry, if Haya Kohen Gadol, and if that day the Kohen Gadol was doing the Ketores, Hamamuna Omer Lo Ishi Kohen Gadol Hakter. So this is very interesting. If it was a Stam Kohen doing Ketores, then what? So the Mamona would say, Hakter, do it. If it was the Kohen Gadol who was doing the Avoda, then what? He would say, Ishi Kohen Gadol Hakter. Right? Then again, a little bit more deferential. Pershuam Victor Vishtachave Viyata. So we'll say ultimately again, so they would go ahead, they would spread out the ketores, excuse me, they would spread out the ketores would be offered, Hishtachave, he would bow down, the Kohen who was doing the ketores would bow down, and Viyatza. And ultimately again, we'll say he would then leave. Hajjin Allah, Hechila, we'll say Mazel Tov. Amadeus, we'll say last daf of Meseches Tamid. Last daf of Meseches Tamid. Bizman, Shekohen Gadol Nichna, we'll say you're going to see by the way how auspicious it is that we're doing this daf today. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. Bizman Shekohen Gadol Nichnas Leishtachave. When the Kohen Gadol would go in to go ahead and prostrate himself. Now, we'll say that this is actually very interesting. So remember again, Kohen Gadol is a unique position because Kohen Gadol pretty much has the right to do whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So it's good to be the king. Right? Just essentially, remember, they're drawing all of these different lots, but anytime the Kohen Gadol says, I want to do the avoda, he absolutely has the right to do the avoda. So the Kohen Gadol comes in. Now, I'll show you something interesting. So first I'll take a look at the Rush here. The Rush is B'nai Kohen Gadol nichnas l'shtachavos achar ha'aktara darkon likanis lehechal l'shtachavos ve'ein zeh biyarei kanis d'shtachava avodi. Now, both saying, here's what's interesting. This is talking about on a regular day. So on a regular day, someone else did the Ketores. Even if someone else did the Ketores, the Kohen Gadol would still come into the Heichal every day to bow down. So I know what you're thinking. The Rush says, I know what you're thinking. You can't just come into the Heichal stam. That's called the Biyarei Kanis, right? An empty-handed entry. If you're going to come into the Beis HaMikdash, you have to come in with what? Something. Part of the avoda, doing something else. So the Rosh just points out this is not called a Biyarei Kanis. This is not called an empty-handed entry, because the act of ishtachaviyah, the act of bowing down in and of itself, is a form of avoda. So this is so beautiful. So you have to imagine this. Bisman shekohen gadol nichnas l'ishtachavos, and the Kohen Gadol would come in to prostrate himself. Shlosha och zinbo. Kohen Gadol never comes alone. Right? An Adam Chashiv never travels alone. So the Kohen Gadol comes in with attendants. How many attendants? 3 people. So echad b'yamino, one person on his right side. Echad b'shmalo, one person on his left side. Ve'echad ba'avarim tov. So we'll say this is amazing. The Kohen Gadol is wearing the choshen, right? He's wearing the breastplate. So the problem is, of course, is when he prostrates himself, what happens? So now, even though the breastplate is tied to the ephod, there's a give. So there was one person whose job it was to support the choshen when the Kohen Gadol was bowing down. I was like, can you imagine this? One attendant to his right, one attendant to his. And by the way, I just want to point out, this is not, you might think to yourself, oh, if the Kohen Gadol is elderly and infirm. This is even if the Kohen Gadol is young and healthy. Kohen Gadol doesn't do anything without attendance. That's the cover to the Kohen Gadol. So the Gemara says, one on his right, one on his left, and one told the Choshen. The Chayvan Sheshana Mamuna called Raglav Shel Kohen Gadol Shu Yotze. And I was say when the Mamuna heard that the Kohen Gadol was coming out of the Mikdash, he heard his feet moving, coming out of the Mesa Mikdash. So ultimately, what? He bialos haparochas. So here's what's interesting. Apparently, there was a curtain that separated the ulam. So as soon as the Mamuna heard the Kohen Gadol coming out, they would move the curtain for the Kohen Gadol. Nichnas v'ishtachaveh. After the Kohen Gadol would prostrate himself, the Mamuna would go in to prostrate himself. The Yatza nichnasu echa v'akan v'ishtachavu v'yatza. So we'll say then the other Kohanim who wanted to come in to prostrate themselves, ultimately again would do so. So the first prostration, well, it's not the first, because I will say the truth is that people who were doing avodas had already prostrated themselves, right? So the person who went in for the Dishun HaMizbeach, the Dishun HaMenorah, the Ketores, they had already done prostrations. These are non-avoda prostrations. The first non-avoda prostration was the Kohen Gadol, then the Mamuna, then whoever wants to come in afterwards has the right to do so. Beis. Ba'u va'amdu amalos ulam. Supposed to say they came and they stood on the stepways of the ulam. Amdu harishonim l'darim. So the first group of Kohanim stood towards the south. Achem haKohanim v'chamisha kelim biyadam. I'm sorry, let me read that differently. So Amdu harishonim l'darim achem haKohanim. So both say, so this group who came out now stood to the south of the Kohanim who were already there. V'chamisha kelim biyadam, and they were holding 5 kelim. What were the 5 kelim? Hateni biyadecha. That's the basket that was used to clean out the inner mizbeach. Hakuz biyad echad, that was the jug used to clean out the menorah. Hamachte biyad echad, the golden shovel used to give the coals for the mizbeach hapanimi. Habozach biyad echad, the spoon that was used for the actual ketores. The kafu kisuya biyad echad. Ubarchu esa'am bracha achos. Now we'll say, and this is where they did birchas kohanim. Birchas kohanim. So we'll say, so remember again, in the Beis HaMikdash, Birchas Kohanim ultimately again was one long bracha. Why? Because in the Beis HaMikdash we do not answer Amen. So because we don't answer Amen, Yivarecha Hashem Yishmerecha Ye'ereshem Panav Elecha V'Yichunecha was recited as one long bracha. Ela shebemedina omrim osa shalosh brachas. Outside of the Beis HaMikdash, when the Kohanim bless the people, they say it as 3 distinct brachas. Ubemikdash bracha achas, but in the Beis Hamikdash, ultimately, again, it was recited as one long bracha. B'mikdash hayu omes Hashem kichsavo. In the Beis Hamikdash, they would recite the name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu as it was written. Ubemedina bikinuyav. Outside of the Beis Hamikdash, so we don't say the ineffable name of God as it is written, but rather we use a kinui, the Adonai name or other names of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That's called the kinui. But Medina, this is incredible. Medina Hakanim Nosim Es Yadayim Kineged Kasveim. This is incredible, and this is halacha l'maisa. Outside of the Beis Hamikdash, Kohanim lift their hands corresponding to what? To their shoulders, shoulder length. Ubemikdash al gabe roshehem. In the Beis Hamikdash, ultimately again, when Kohanim would duchen, they would lift up their hands. They would lift up their hands, ultimately again, up to their heads. So, if you look at the Rush for just a moment, the Rush says, "Ubemikdash agabe roshehem." The Rush says, "Lefi shemaskir shema mefurash ushchina shora lemala mikir she'etzba'osav shekash lag b'nasav." Listen to this, what I was saying. So, in the Beis Hamikdash, where they said the actual name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Shechina came down. Because the Shechina came down, it was appropriate for the Kohanim to lift their hands essentially above their heads, as high as possible. Outside of the Beis Hamikdash, where we do not say the name of Hashem, there is still a Hashras HaShechina, but apparently not as intense as it was by the Beis Hamikdash. And therefore, Kohanim only have to lift their hands as high as their shoulders. Incredible. Chutz mi Kohen Gadol, she'ein ma'bia yadav lamala min hatzitz. Both say the exception to this rule was the Kohen Gadol. Why? He only lifted his hands as high as the tzitz. Because remember again, the tzitz, the breastplate, the choshen, has inside of it what? The 72-letter name of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'm sorry. The tzitz, the head plate, right? He only lifted his hands as high as the head plate. Remember that he wore on his forehead that said Kodesh LaHashem. Rabbi Yehuda says no. Af Kohen Gadol makbias yadav lamala min hatzitz. Rabbi Yehuda says even the Kohen Gadol lifted his hands above the tzitz. Shene'emar vayisa Aarones yadav ela am vayivarechem. Good. Mishnah Gimel. We'll say here we go. Bizman Kohen Gadol rotzeh lahaktir. They'll say when the Kohen Gadol, when he wanted to do the avodah, this is what we said before. Whenever the Kohen Gadol wants to do the avodah, he has the right to do so. So if he decides, you know what, I want to be the one who brings the sacrificial limbs to the top of the altar, if he chooses to do so, he has the ability to do that. So when he wants to be maktir, haya ola bekevesh, he would walk up the ramp. Vaskan biyamino, the skan would be on his right side. Higia lemachtzis hakevesh, he would get to the middle. So we'll say, so here, the Kohen Gadol is just going with one person, just the skan, the assistant Kohen Gadol. The skan would be on his right. It's incredible. Higia lemachtzis hakevesh, when he would get to the middle of the ramp, achaz hasgan biyamino, the skan would hold on to the right hand of the Kohen Gadol. Ve'eluhu, ultimately again, it would bring him up. V'hoshit lo harishon harosh v'haregel. But listen to this. So the first, because remember again, there were 9 Kohanim who participated in the bringing up of the limbs, it's not just limbs, the sacrificial parts, and on the Mizbeach. Remember, they're all arranged on the left side of the Mizbeach, ultimately again, from the midpoint of the Mizbeach and down. So what would happen now? The first Kohen would hand the head and the regel, right? The hind leg, the right hind leg, v'samach alehen. So we'll say, so now, what would happen is over here, the Rishon would give it to the skan would give it to the Kohen Gadol. V'samach alehen. Now each of them, the Kohen Gadol would do smicha. And they'll say, this is not typical smicha, right? Why not? Typical smicha, first of all, is only done on private offerings, karbanos yachid, not karbanos sibor. And number 2, smicha is usually done when the animal is alive. So this was a different type of smicha. The Kohen Gadol would do smicha on the parts, and what would happen? So, I'm sorry. And the Kohen Gadol would then go ahead and throw the sacrificial part onto the fire of the Mizbeach. Hoshit hasheni l'rishon shtei yadayim. So we'll say then the second Kohen would hand to the first Kohen the next pair of sacrificial parts, the shtei yadayim, the 2 forelegs, nos on the Kohen Gadol. The Rishon would then give it to the Kohen Gadol. Same thing. Samach alein v'zarkan. Nishmat hashini v'halachlo. The second Kohen would then leave. V'kach hayu moshitin lo shar kalei ivarim. And we'll say this is what would happen. They would hand the Kohen Gadol the rest of the sacrificial parts. V'hu somech aleihen. And the Kohen Gadol would do smicha on each of the sacrificial parts. V'zarkan. and the Kohen Gadol would then throw the sacrificial parts onto the fire. Ubizman shehu rotza hu somech v'achirim zarkin. Let's say the Kohen Gadol didn't want to throw the sacrificial parts, either because he didn't want to, maybe he was older, maybe it was too much, maybe he wanted to do some of them and not other of them. That's okay. The Kohen Gadol just has to do the smicha v'achirim zarkan. Someone else could go ahead and do the zrika. So we'll say, now remember again, so now after the Kohen Gadol finishes offering up all the sacrificial parts, it's going to be time for what? For the nesachim, the wine libations. For the wine libations, he has to make his way to the other side of the mizbeach. So now the Mishnah says, how did he make his way? Remember again, we'll say, everything in the Beis HaMikdash is scripted, because when you are lifnei Hashem, there is no room for innovation or playing it by ear. When you are lifnei Hashem, the closer you are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ultimately, again, the more scripted this is. This is why, just as an aside, Moshe Rabbeinu is punished in a dramatic way for what appears to be a relatively small infraction. Why is that? It's very simple. Moshe Rabbeinu lived lifnei Hashem. When you live lifnei Hashem, the margin of error is very, very, very small. That's why the Kohen Gadol goes into the Kodesh HaKadoshim. If you're in the smallest of infractions, he dies. The closer you are to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the greater the intensity of the Midas Hadin, or I should say, the less the margin of error. So therefore the Mishnah says, how does the Kohen walk around the Mizbeach? So here we go. When he comes to circle the Mizbeach, Meichanu Maschil, Mikarin Deromis Mizrachis, southeast corner, Mizrachis Sephonis, Ma'aravis Dromis. So we'll say this is the direction he takes to make his way around the Mizbeach. Nosnu lo yayin l'nasich. They give him the wine for the libations. Hasgan. We'll say this is wild. Get ready for this. Remember, the Mizbeach has kronos. It has corners, which means on the four corners of the Mizbeach there were protrusions. What is it? Horns. Right, protrusions. Right, horns. Right. Ari Lichtman, second time, one share. Right, so we'll say, right, so there were horns, right? So we'll say, watch, this is incredible. So Askan Omedala Karen, we'll say, this is wild. The skan, the assistant would stand on the horn, would stand on the corner pillar. V'hasudarim biyado. He had flags in his hands. Shnei kohanim omdin al shulchan hachalavim. So we'll say, now remember, listen to this. So remember, essentially, we're going to see as soon as the Nisuch Hayayin is done, right? As soon as the Nesachim are done, that would trigger the beginning of Shira. But I will say, remember again, it's not easy to see from when the Nesachim were done. So the Skan, they had a flag system. When the Nisuch Hayayin was done, so the Skan would signal. Once he would signal, so when he would wave the flags, that showed the Nesachim were done. Get ready for this. Shnei kohanim omdin al shulchan hachalavim. You had two Kohanim standing, Rabbi Osai, on the shulchan, on the table where they used to go ahead and clean up the fats. Ushtei chatzos ros biyadam. They had two trumpets in their hands. Taku v'heiriu v'taku. They sounded a tkiya, a trua, and a tkiya. When that happened, bo'u v'amdu eitzel ben arza. The Kohanim would come and stand by Ben Arza. Would stand by. Sorry, offhand, I don't know. So the Kohanim would go ahead and stand by Ben Arza. Echad miyamino ve'echad mismalo. Both say if anyone has gently used aravas that for Hoshanas that they would like to donate back to the shul. Baruch Hashem, we are out of aravas. What an incredible bracha! They share good. Good. If the majority of leaves are still on it, you could still use it. You could still use it. So if you have gently used, come back. By the way, if you, it was something I said. It was just an announcement. It was quick. I promise. So okay, good. So the Gemara says as follows. So the Mishnah says, so what happens to Bosai? So Amdu v'taku, ba'ova Amdu Eitzel ben Arza. They would come and they would stand by Ben Arza. Now Bosai, now what was unique about Ben Arza? So if you look, Bo Shnei Kohanim, two Kohanim would come and they would stand next to Ben Arza. So the Rosh says over here, Hu haya hamamuna al hashir. I will say Ben Arza was the Levi. He was a Levi. He was not a Kohen. He was a Levi who was in charge of Shira, who was in charge of the Shir. Kedi Isa. Kidi Isa, Bishkalim, right, fine. So they would come and they would stand by Ben Arza. Echad miyamino ve'echad l'smolo. One would stand on his right, one would stand, 2 minutes. One would stand on his left. Shacha, so listen to this. So echad v'yamino echad l'smolo. Shacha l'nasech ve'henif, haskan b'sudarim. So what happened? They would bow down. And what would occur? V'henif, so v'haskan b'sudarim, v'hekish ben arza b'tzolza. So we'll say what happens? Then again, the skan, after they went ahead and they finished doing the nisuch, so once again the skan would go ahead and wave the star. If you look at the Rashi just a moment, the Rashi says, not yet, sorry. So the Rashi says, so v'hekish ben arza b'tzolza. Ben arza would then bang on the cymbals. V'dibru halavim b'shir. The Levim would then begin the shira. Higiu leperek, when they finish the particular chapter, taku. We'll say whenever it says taku, taku means taku hiriu v'taku. Trua tekiya. V'ishtachavu ha'am. We'll say at this point in time, the nation, whoever was there, would then prostrate themselves. Al kol perek, every time they finished a particular chapter, particular perek of the shira, tekiya, they would sound the shofar. V'al kol tekiya, hishtachaviyah. And every single time they sounded the shofar, they would once again prostrate themselves. Zehu seder hatamid. We'll say, listen to this. This is the end of the avoda. Zehu seder hatamid la'avodas beis Elokeinu. We'll say everything we just learned is every single detail of the avoda, the daily avoda, in the house of our God. Yehi ratzon sheibana b'mhira b'yameinu. Amen. We'll say that's the Mishnah. Right? The Mishnah itself ends off with this tefillah. We'll say, so now we finished the avoda. To close out the Masechta, literally 2 more minutes, we're going to finish out with Shira. Mishnah Dalid. Hashir Shaya Leviim Om B'Mikdash B'Yom Rishon. We'll say this is incredible. The shir that the Leviim used to sing every day in the Mikdash. We'll say if this sounds familiar, this may be the parting voices you hear as you go out the doors in the morning, right? So again, there's like the whisper of shir. I've heard of it, right? I've heard rumors about it, right? But it's mamish. It's true. It's mamish true. Jews say this. We will say, so where does this come from? Where did shir shalom come from? From the Leviim. Hashir shaya Leviim om be'mikdash b'yom rishon hayu omrim la Hashem haaretz umla'a tevel v'yosheva b'sheni hayu omrim gadol Hashem muhula ma'od bi'er Elokeinu har kadsho. Bishlishi hayu omrim Elokim nitzav ba'adas kel bekerev Elokim yishpot bereviyu hayu omrim kel nekamos Hashem kel nekamos afia bechamishi hayu omrim harninu lelokim uzenu hariyu lelokei Yaakov bashishi hayu omrim Hashem malach yius lavish v'gomer b'Shabbos hayu omrim mizmor shir liyom haShabbos. And I will say, first of all, isn't it incredible that the Shir Shalom that we say to this very day, is mamish the same Shira of the Leviim. Mikam Cha Yisrael. Where else can you find a nation who is so attached to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who is so attached to the Beis HaMikdash, that even after more than 2,000 years of not having our beautiful Beis HaMikdash, we say the same exact Shira day after day. The Gemara ends off by saying, Mizmor Shir Liyom HaShabbos, Mizmor Shir La'asid Lavo, Liyom Shekul HaShabbos, Umnucha L'chayom. And I will say, now what the Gemara is really asking over here is as follows. What the Gemara is bothered by Shabbos is, the capital of Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos makes no reference to Shabbos. Right? The only reference to Shabbos is Mizmor Shel Yom HaShabbos. Talking about Shabbos, which the Gemara says, you're right. Because it's not about Shabbos Kodesh. What does it talk about? Mizmor Shel Asid Lavo. It's a Mizmor that talks about, again, I will say, when Mashiach comes, Liyom Shekulo Shabbos, Umenucha L'chayei Ha'olamim. But I'll say, ultimately, it's a reference to the day that it's Kula Shabbos, Mashiach, a day that brings rest for all eternity. Rabbi Yirtzeh Hashem will be zocha to see the Leviim recite the Shir in the Beis HaMikdash. The Kohanim do that. And now we'll say, whether you're a Kohen and you're going to be zocha to live it, whether you're a Levi and you're going to be zocha to sing it, or whether you're Yisrael and you're going to be zocha to watch it. At the end of the day now, when we are Kohen Gadol, when the Kohanim do the Avoda, where we look inside the Beis HaMikdash, we'll be able to say, I learned that. I know that. I understand that in the schus of learning all of these incredible avodas, Rabbi say we should be zochem eretzim to see the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash and here Rabbi Yameinu. Amen. Rabbi say, but we're going to do something. We're making this siyum now Masechtas Tamid because we are 7 Masechtas behind in our siyumim. My New Year's resolution for this year is I'm not putting things off anymore. Whatever it has to do, we'll do it. And we'll say Hoshana Rabbah, Hadron Allah. Bisman Shikay Golu Sigalam Meseches Tamid. Hadron Allah Meseches Tamid. Hadron Chalon. Daton Allah Meseches Tamid. Data Chalon. Lo Nisna Sheminach Meseches Tamid. Lo Tisna Sheminon. Lo Ba'alman Dev. Lo Ba'alman Dasi. Hadron Allah Meseches Tamid. Hadron Chalon. Daton Allah Meseches Tamid. Data Chalon. Lo Nisna Sheminach Meseches Tamid. Lo Tisna Sheminon. Lo Ba'alman Dev. Lo Ba'alman Dasi. Hadron Allah Meseches Tamid. Hadron Chalon. Daton Allah Meseches Tamid. Data Chalon. Lo Nisna Sheminach Meseches Tamid. Lo Tisna Sheminon. Lo Ba'alman Dev. Lo Ba'alman Dasi. Ratzon Mufanecha. Adonai Eloheinu V'Lehem V'Seinu. Shetei Toraschem U'Nasinu Ba'olam Hazeh. Uteimar Olam Haba. Chanina Bar Papa, Rami Bar Papa, Nachum Bar Papa, Chai Bar Papa, Amari Bar Papa, Rafim Bar Papa, Rachish Bar Papa, Surcha Bar Papa, Adir Ada Bar Papa, Daru Bar Papa. Harev Na Adonai Eloheinu Divrei Saraschem Afinu. O Vivios Amcha B'Yis Yisrael. V'niyeh Klona Nachnu V'Tzeretzonu V'Tzeretzei Amcha B'Yis Yisrael. Klona Deishmecha V'Lom Dei Sarasecha. Ma'oivai Tichach Mini Mitzvosecha Ki Li'olam Hili Ki Li'olam Hili Yihili Bim Samim B'Chukecha Laman Lo Evosh. Amen, 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 Salavayad. Modim anachnu lefanecha Adonai Eloheinu v'lehav oseinu. Shesamti chalkim Yoshe Beis HaMedrash. V'lesamti chalkim Yoshe Karnas. Shana mashkinim he mashkinim. Anu mashkinim Dvei Torah mashkinim Torah Telim. Anu amelim he amenim. Anu amelim kam sakar he amenim ve'enim kam sakar. Anu ratzim he ratzim. Anu ratzim lechayi ha'olam haba. Ve'im ratzim ve'ershachas shnei marba atalim tardim le'ershachas anshi do mirma lo yichutzu yemei v'ani yaftach ba. Yiratzom ufanecha Adonai Elohai. Keshem she'azartanu v'sayim Meseches Tamid. Came to Azri lahaschel Mesechtos Yisrael Acherim L'Saimam. Lilmod u'lelamed lishmar v'lasos u'lekayim is kol direi samut sarasecha b'yava. U'zechus kol tanoim v'amroim v'samdi chacham yamod li u'lezari. Shelo tamush haTorah mipi u'mipi zari v'zera zari adolam. V'tiskayim b'pi salechacha tancha osach. V'shach b'cha tishmar alecha. V'akitzosi hitisichacha. Ki bi yirbu yamecha v'yosifu l'choshnos chayim. Orech yamin b'minah u'b'smala osher v'kavod. Adonai ozlam oitein Adonai yivarech es amo v'shalom. Yiskedal v'yiskedal shemei ramo. Y'amal dihu asid l'yischadasa. Ulachayot Yisayah, Ulachayot on the Chaye Amo, Ulamivnei Kratod Yerushalayim, Ulashakla Hechalei Begava, Ulam Ekar, Ukhana Nukhra Aminara, Ulasavap, Ukhana Dishmaya La Asrei, Yamlich Kuchabrichu Mapu Sevi Kare, the Chayechon, Ubemechon, Ubechayi, the Chobeis Yisrael. Bagalav is man Kore, Nimru Amei. Only Omei Omayo, Yisparach Vishtabach Vispar Visaman Visnasei, Visadar, Visala, Visala, Shmedi Kuchab, Leila Mikabechasa, Shirasa, Tushbechasa, Venechemasa, Damian Gama, Vibru Amei, Alisra, Varaban, Al Tamideon, Yal Kol Tamides Tamideon, the Al Commander Oski Baoraisa, Diba Asra Dain, Vidiba Khalasar Asar. Yehei lehon ulehon shlam rabba china v'chista v'rachamim mechayin harichin u'mezon v'chei u'furkana min k'adam abahun debishmaya v'ara v'imru amei Yehei shlam rabba min shemaya v'chayim alinu Ya'kol Yisrael v'imru amen Oseh shalom min ramav v'yaseh shalom aleinu Ya'kol Yisrael v'imru amen
Yibane Hamikdash Etzion Temale Yibane Hamikdash Etzion Temale V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash Luminam Nale V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash Luminam Nale Etzion Temale Yibane Hamikdash Etzion Temale V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash Luminam Nale V'sham Nashir Shir Chadash Luminam Nale Yibane Hamikdash Etzion Temale Yibane Hamikdash המקדש יציון 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 תמלא נשמה שיר שיר חדש ובננה נעלה נשמה שיר שיר חדש ובננה נעלה ייבנה 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 המקדש יציון 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 תמלא ייבנה 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 המקדש יציון 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 תמלא נשמה שיר שיר חדש ובננה נעלה נשמה שיר שיר חדש